Hey, thanks for joining us again for another edition of Pigskin Preview. My name's Dave Ruthenberg, sports editor from the News Eagle, and joining us, as he always does, is our own gridiron guru from Wings to Go, Brian Hacker.
Hey guys, how you doing? Another week of football down. 2 weeks down. Wish there was like baseball. You could have 168 games, but we're 2 weeks down into the season, and we're starting to find out a lot about teams.
Yeah, now that you're right, into the third week, and we're starting to get an idea of where teams stand, and the difference was with baseball, football, every game means so much, and it did for Enid this past week too, after they defeated Bishop Kelly. They took on Midwest City, a tough squad that they got an early 17-0 lead on, but unfortunately you can't keep Midwest City down, and we saw that in that game.
Yeah, you come out, you hit Midwest City in the mouth real hard, 17-0, you've got them on the ropes, and Midwest City is going to be a team that's going to fight back into the game. By halftime, they're back into the game. Right. Enid comes out with an onside kick, kicks the ball on the pooch kick, and an inadvertent whistle really hurts that momentum shift because Enid recovers that ball, and if they get that ball back, the momentum is fully in Enid's hands. They're, they have that momentum. They stop Midwest City on the drive, but it's still not the same as getting the momentum.
No,
and I think that really hurt the second half start. And there was a couple other officiating calls that we could talk about, but the officials are humans too.
Oh, absolutely. There was another one just before halftime where Enid looked like they had a 90-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. It was called back because it was a penalty, but it was 20 yards behind the play, and it was kind of unfortunate for Enid. That would have made it 24-7. That probably would have been game over at that point. This week, it doesn't get a whole lot easier. They bring in Guthrie, who's #1 in the AP rankings and #2 in OKRankings.com. It's going to be another tough game.
Yeah, tough game. I see Guthrie at #2 on Coach's Aid, #1 AP in Class 5A. Doesn't matter what Class 5A or not, they're good. They've only given up 6 points this entire season, so they're going to play some defense, and that's something that Enid really is going to have to come out and challenge themselves to start the game with. Get some points, drive the ball against Guthrie, and continue that in the second half, because in both games, in Bishop Kelly, we saw a little bit of a letdown in the second half. Yeah, you're up, and against Midwest City, it wasn't really a letdown. It's just Midwest City got its momentum going and got its mojo working. So.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. It's going to be important to play 2 full halves of football for Enid. Player that you want to really watch out for Guthrie is wide receiver Kentrell Brothers, all-state potential, and it has every coach, I think, on the schedule worried he is that good.
Yeah, from what I see, he's going to have a pick of his college choice coming up soon. But I tell you what, Enid, again, you got the speed, and you guys have got a few games under your belt now to understand the system. I think Enid's going to match up really well with Guthrie, and it's going to be a good game. It is going to be a good game.
I agree. Good game, and it's another great test for Enid, and as they get later into the season, it's going to really pay off, I think, that they're playing this tough schedule.
Right. Coach Parker, he's got the team up and going. He's got a lot of momentum behind the team, because the people that went to that game and saw us lose to Midwest City, a lot of people were excited about what they saw, and I've heard a lot of that, so that's really great. Good job by Coach Parker.
Yep, good job, and we'll see what they do against Guthrie this week.
Exactly.
Pioneer traveling to OBA this week. OBA, again, a big winner last week. They're 2-0. Pioneer got off the schneid with a nice win against Moreland. I'm looking for a pretty competitive matchup here.
Well, I'll tell you what we're looking for is OBA's got 2 good games under its belt. They're probably going to assume Pioneer's coming in off the win. The Pioneer's not as strong as they have been in the past, and that's going to be a bit of a rivalry. You're not driving very far if you're from Pioneer. OBA controls their own destiny. They beat Pioneer. They control. They're still #2 in the state, but they have that game X'd on the calendar down the road. Pioneer comes in. They've got 3 tough weeks in a row. They have a chance to spoil somebody's season, so I can see Pioneer being really fired up for this.
Yeah, this is going to be a solid game. It's going to be OBA's ground game, I think, is going to be the key here. We mentioned it earlier. They pretty much steamrolled their first 2 opponents. I'm looking at 54-0 and 53-6. So they haven't been in a competitive game, and I guess maybe the question is, how do they react if Pioneer is able to keep this thing close into the late in the game?
Right, and Pioneer did what they had to last week. Did they win in overtime? Yeah, but they beat a team that was evenly matched. They had a good, even matchup, and they beat that team, and that's exactly what you want to see a team who's trying to progress do. And they have some momentum now going against Pioneer, so it'll be interesting to see, against OBA, I'm sorry. I see Pioneer playing OBA a little bit better than the other 2 opponents have, but OBA is a strong force right now, and ranked #2 in the state.
Yeah, and rightly so, and they could easily be #1. I think they're going to march their way right into the playoffs again this year.
I think so as well.
Okay, another game that I think is going to be interesting to see if a team can begin to develop a little bit. They've really struggled, and that's Chisholm, which is home this week against Blackwell. Chisholm is 0-2, and in their first 2 games, they've been outscored 102-6.
Yeah, they haven't shown a lot. At the game last week at Chisholm, they go down 14-0. They score. They get back in the game a little bit, But in the second half, it just doesn't look like Chisholm is trying to compete right now. Chisholm's going up against a Blackwell team that's 0-2 as well. Going to that game, you might see some sloppy football, but I'll tell you what, Dave. Best Frito chili pie at Chisholm you've ever had. Been saying that for years. I used to do radio, and that's the best Frito chili pie.
See, now I got to work it out now that I go cover more Chisholm games. Now that I found this out.
Best Frito chili pie in the state.
Well, let's hope they get off the schneid. Blackwell's 0-2 as well. They've been a little closer in their games, but I think this is a chance for at least Chisholm to maybe make some strides. I don't know if they're going to win. We're going to find out. But if they can show improvement, I think at this point that's maybe all you can really look for.
Right now, improvement's a good thing, and Chisholm, looking forward to next year with a lot more seniors, a lot more experience is going to help a lot. This year is going to be some growing pains.
Absolutely. Waukomis is traveling to DCLA, the number 2 team in the state. Waukomis got their opening win last week at home against Southwest Covenant. DCLA, another one of these teams that's just kind of powered through their first 2 games, outscoring opponents 112-26.
Right, and DCLA is a force. And Waukomis going on the road. If you're playing down on Waukomis, maybe you have a little bit more momentum. But hey, Waukomis gets a win last week that some people probably weren't really expecting for them to get. They go out, they play well against DCLA, and I see a competitive, gaming Waukomis team going up to DCLA. DCLA is probably going to take the win, but maybe not steamroll like they have in the past. Yeah,
I think it'll be a closer game for both teams. DCLA really does look like maybe the top team in its class right now, even though they're number 2. And just like OBA in their class, I think they got their eyes dead set on a long, deep playoff run.
Right, and like you say, number 2, I see number 1 on Coach's Aid. So AP has it one way. Coach's Aid, it depends on which poll, but they are number 1 in some polls, and DCLA is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. All right, now we're going to move into the college ranks and talk a little bit about Oklahoma. Let's start off with them and the Sooners. After the previous week, they really did not look good at all against Utah State. To come out and just blow out Florida State.
Florida State's an ACC team. ACC didn't represent very well this weekend at all. Had a horrible showing. But I tell you what OU did was they held their 40% of their offense back, according to Stoops, in the first week. So they didn't show anything the first week. They come out against FSU, a totally different team. Landry Jones was compared to Joe Montana in the paper, I believe. He looked good. OU looked good. OU looked like the team that everybody projected them to be. So now they're coming up against an Air Force team, Vance Air Force Base, represented very well. A lot of graduates there. And a lot of people going from Enid to that game that are Air Force. There's going to be a huge Air Force contingency there.
Absolutely. And Air Force runs an offense that you don't see hardly at all anymore. It's the triple option. It is very tough to defend. They're the number 1 rushing offense in the nation. I think they're averaging 423 yards a game. This is going to be a challenge. Air Force, beat up BYU pretty badly last week, a team a lot of people had in the top 25. So this is not going to be a gimme at all for Oklahoma.
I think the issue with Oklahoma is going to be more about the offense and scoring on that Air Force defense. That has been a little bit suspect in the first 2 weeks. OU stopping that triple option. And they play basketball in a similar type. They play basketball differently too. So Air Force, they've got a chance in this game to come out and score. And if they can hang with OU and hang some points, that's going to be the issue. It's going to be who can score the most points. It's going to be a 40-30 type game, and it's going to be whoever gets to 41st wins.
I think you're right. And do we see good Landry Jones or bad Landry Jones? That'll be the other question.
That's a question for Sooner Nation. He had a good game, but don't rest your laurels on it. You're going to need another 1 or 2 or 3 to put a season together.
Interesting time in Norman this weekend, and also there will be an interesting game in Stillwater. Tulsa comes in to play the Cowboys.
Tulsa, first week is that thriller overtime loss, Hail Mary loss to East Carolina. Goes out and beats a solid Bowling Green team this week. OSU annihilates Washington State, and then doesn't even show up against Troy. So if you're fumbling the take a knee snap, OSU's got some questions to answer this week.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen that before, fumbling when you're going into the victory formation.
Well, since I wasn't at the game and it wasn't on TV, Mike Holder, we couldn't watch it, but I was screaming at my computer when the little blurb at the bottom came on. Would love to see the TU and OSU game get a sellout so we can get that game on TV.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people in the state that are going to be interested. And it's unfortunate for the state of Oklahoma to not get to watch that game because OSU OSU doesn't have whatever reasons.
Doesn't have the whatever that Oklahoma has. And that's a whole other discussion for another time.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
I see the game. That's going to be an issue of defense. Okay, Tulsa's going to score. OSU's going to score. It's whoever stops who, and I'm going to give that edge to OSU right now because OSU has shown they can play defense. Tulsa really hasn't. They gave up points against Bowling Green. Gave up points against East Carolina. So I'm going to give the edge to OSU in this matchup simply based on defense.
Right, I agree with that. And can their quarterback Whedon stay away from mistakes this week? That's what hurt him badly last week against a decent Troy team, but not that good of a Troy team that they should have put such a scare into Oklahoma State at home.
Yeah, should have been no way that game was that close. And I think OSU, Tulsa has looked good on offense. There's no issue. They're going to score their points. But again, it's going to be the defense special teams got to get the edge to Tulsa.
Yeah,
offense, I may give the edge to Tulsa, but defense-wise, you're going to have to give the edge to OSU. And I'm going to roll that away, not just because I wear my orange proudly.
Home field advantage, I think, for the Cowboys.
Let's hope that game gets on TV, though. We really do.
Just a quick note or two on Texas Tech, an interesting matchup, a bit of a rivalry, I think, especially from Tech's perspective. They still feel like I think they don't get the respect they deserve.
Kind of like OSU against OU. I think what is interesting with Tech is Tupperville ball isn't that Auburn football that you're used to seeing. It's going to be smash mouth, and Texas hasn't shown a lot. Now, how much of their offense and defense have they held back? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We're going to find out a little more. This is a conference game already early in the season, and so I think we got some interesting football on tap this week. I want to thank everybody for joining us once again this week on Pigskin Preview. I'm Dave Ruthenberg, sports editor at the News and Eagle, and thank you, Brian Hacker, as always.
Oh, thank you very much, and we look forward to some great football. Wings to go, great specials, wingstogowings.com.
Thank you.